What's going on, guys? Corey here with Xbox Tavern with another review. This week I'm taking a look at Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged. So this is the hit sequel to the first Hot Wheels Unleashed game, and if you played that, well, you have a good basis of what to go off of. If you haven't, it is an arcade racer with the Hot Wheels look and feel to it. You are playing cars that you buy at the store, you are racing on those bright orange tracks and turns that you can get at the store, and you're playing in a variety of locations such as your bedroom or the kitchen or a restaurant or backyard. It just really gives you that imagination that you had as a kid into a video game. So what's new with this iteration? Well, it brings back that same core gameplay, but it actually improves on it in almost every aspect. There are still a ton of vehicles that you can get from the store or unlocking through various ways. As you do race, you get a currency in the game, and you can use that to buy and upgrade your cars and whatnot. And the cars come in different rarities, so you're going to have common cars and super treasure hunt cars, just like you find in the actual store. Some cars are harder to find in real life. It's going to be the case in the game as well. But regardless, there are a ton of cars in the game with two new types of vehicles, motorbikes and ATVs. That goes along with the standard like rocket cars or balanced cars, drifters and monster trucks and things like that. Now what you're going to be racing on in the environments, well, they have added 5 new environments, including like a backyard, like I said, an arcade, there's a gas station and a golf course, and then a cool dinosaur museum where you're racing around the teeth and the mouths of the dinosaurs and things like that. Pretty cool stuff. They've also added some new game modes to this version of the game. Not only do you just have like quick race or elimination, where the last few people get eliminated every so many seconds, they also have a time attack mode where you have to get to certain checkpoints in a certain amount of time. There is now a drift mode because you can drift in this game. And in online, there is a mode where you have to bump into other people in order to win. Now, I've mentioned the drift mode is something new. While I believe drifting was a thing in the first one, there is a lot more emphasis on it. Like, the entire drift mode is all about starting and keeping your drift without touching a wall, building up your multiplier in order to get points. It's not about speed or anything like that. It's simply how good can you drift and keep it up. They've kept the boost just like you would expect, and then they've also added a lateral dash and a jump, which is pretty game changing in my book. The lateral dash, it allows you to bump into others, so it's really helpful for bumping them into traps or off of the track. And then the jump is almost necessary in just about every race. You're going to have to be jumping over obstacles. Some of them, if you hit, it'll just take you out. Some of them, if you hit, they slow you down. The jump is going to help you get past them. In a couple of the courses, you have to make the jump in order to get to the next part of the track. So it is very needed in its use, and it actually opens up a lot of different routes and things that you may have not been able to do in the first game. Also in this game is a campaign or story mode, if you will, where you're going to go through a ton of different races, where you're going to be experiencing the different types of races. You're going to be forced to use different types of cars, and you're going to have some boss battles. This existed in the first game in some form, and it's back and it's better in this version. You're still going to be going through a map, so you have a path that you need to follow. At some points it will branch out, and if you choose to do those, you will be rewarded via cars or XP, money, or other things that the game has to offer. Eventually you do come to a boss battle. Now in the first game, I remember this as kind of a one-on-one. You're battling against that car, you need to beat it in order to win. In this version of the game, the boss is typically like a decoration piece almost, and what you have to do is knock its health down. Now, you're not racing against anybody except the boss's health. As this meter goes up, once it hits the top of that limit, game over. You have to redo the race. In order to reset that, you have to hit a target that is on the track. This target equates to the boss's health, and so depending on what difficulty you play on, you may be able to miss one, maybe two on easy, but really you need to be hitting them as you come to them. And so you have to really pick the right car that fits you and your driving style in order to beat these boss battles. These boss battles were pretty cool, they are really the only type of race that kind of got my heart pumping, because it was really close on some of those targets, and it sucked when you missed one and you just knew that it was game over and you had to wait it out. But that campaign mode is very expansive, and it has dozens and dozens of different races, so it's going to satisfy your time with this game. In addition to having the campaign mode back and a little bit updated, they've also added a story to it. It's geared towards kids. It didn't really do anything for me. By the end, I was kind of skipping it, but it is kind of in a cartoon, comic booky style, and it sets up the boss battles and things like that. And they're not very intrusive, and they don't happen too often, but it's a nice touch, so I can appreciate that it's there. Some of the other big improvements they've added to this game are track surfaces. I mentioned that we have different environments now, but some of those environments, like the backyard, are going to go over grass and concrete and things like that. You're not always going to be on a standard Hot Wheels track. And in the previous game, I don't think that mattered. In this one, the track surfaces matter. And so depending on what type of race you're doing or where you're doing it at, you might not pick the same car over and over and over. I started out picking that same car over and over and over. I got used to it, and it does not perform well with drift racing and outdoor racing. It just goes all over the field. So I had to really change up my playstyle and actually use cars in my collection that were better suited for those things. Now, probably the biggest update throughout the entire game is a skill system that they've added to your car collection. Each car can be upgraded, and you do that by using money or certain skill points that you unlock through the campaign and whatnot, and they're going to allow you to drift better or get your boost up quicker if you are doing a certain action. Some of them even allow you to bypass obstacles, meaning if you hit them, they don't really slow you down. And you are limited in how many of those upgrades you can apply or equip at one time. So there is some strategy depending on what kind of race you're doing and which ones you want to apply at that time. But it really gives some depth to what you are choosing to pick for these races. So it's pretty cool. Very welcomed update for those cars. Of course, the customization is here just like in the first one. You can create your own liveries. I think I'm saying that right, maybe liveries. You can download community ones. It's same with tracks. You're going to be getting different track pieces. So the more you play the game, the more track pieces you will unlock. So you can create really crazy tracks, share them with the world, and play with others. Other than that, they haven't added online. Online was there in the first one, but they have updated online. There are several different modes. You can go in with a party. So that's really good. At the time I've played it, I've only played a couple of online matches, and they were fun. So take that for what it's worth. But I think you've seen just about all Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged has to offer. If you aren't on XboxTavern.com already, be sure to go there, check out my final score for the game. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this gameplay and this overview of this sequel, and I will see you in the next one.